feel free to grab them. Please go ahead. We got
Testing.
rows, and so please go ahead and fill in, and we'll start
Is this on?
in about 2 seconds. Is that he'll point at you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My non-native name is Jacoby White, and I'm a nursing student at Bryan College of Health Sciences. I've been asked to give a land acknowledgement this morning. Before we begin today, we want to acknowledge that we are living on the past, present, and future of homelands of the Pawnee, Oto, Omaha, and Kansas peoples. The Salt Basin around present-day Lincoln attracted many indigenous nations to this region. The Omaha called the area Nesquiti, or salt. And their women used eagle feathers to collect the salt, which they used to cure buffalo meat. Under pressure from settlers and the federal government, the Oto ceded the land that became Lincoln to the federal government in 1833 and 1854. And this forced out the tribal peoples who have called the Nesquiti home for many generations. This land holds history, and a land acknowledgement is an understatement of the damage done to indigenous peoples on the Turtle Island from Alaska to Chile. We would like to emphasize the importance of BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color. And remember that this country was built on the genocide of indigenous peoples of the Americas and the enslavement of African Americans. Native peoples of many nations live in Lincoln today and contribute to our community's vitality and diversity. And today, we thank them with their stewardship of these lands. Wopila Tonka, thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to welcome you to today's African American Read-In celebration. The Read-Ins are a national component established in 1990 by the National Council of English Teachers and the Black Caucus. I'm Peter Ferguson, affectionately a co-conspirator and collaborator of today's engagement and coordinator for culture, inclusion, and scholar development, and assistant supervisor of recruitment for Lincoln Public Schools. There has been consistently, and even more so, increased inquiries about the purpose of today's read-in. And as I reflected, a simple word kind of came to mind, and it was choice. The choice dates back to March 27th, 1961, when Ethel Sawyer was arrested for a sit-in at the Jacksonville Public Library. The read-in symbolizes choices and highlights works like Matthew Cherry's Hair Love, which celebrates the beauty of Black hair, afros, waves, and curls, none of which I have, as you can see. It also reflects the choices made by my mother, Alita Ferguson, a 40-year educator who ensured that I had a library card as an infant to visit the Army base at Fort Lewis in Washington State. I then went on to participate in the Tucson, Arizona Public Schools Library Reading Program, and then followed by my teen years visiting Gear and Bennett Martin Public Libraries here in Lincoln, Nebraska, to secure literature because she wanted to make sure that I understood her struggles, but also her successes, and the perseverance that her and my father were instilling through me through words like Langston Hughes' mothers to son. We acknowledge the choices of individuals like Dr. Van Price, who is the Associate Superintendent of Human Resources, who earned the choice and the right to accept this or any role across the country through her journey. Choices represent over a decade of collaboration between Lincoln Public Schools and the Lincoln City Libraries to honor the contributions of African American literature and the arts. Today's program will be a showcase of literature that will resonate with all of us. The read-in underscores the contribution of Black and African Americans, and those individuals, including myself, are essential and not expendable. I want to thank you, whether you're watching or you're here in attendance today, for making the choice to attend and engage with us. Now, following the introduction by Reverend Tremaine Combs of Lift Every Voice and Sing, readers and presenters will come forward in the Jackie Robinson and Mamie Johnson. For those of you that don't know, they'll come forward in that kind of style and that kind of swagger. They're Black professional Negro League baseball players. And they will self-introduce, and the only choice that they did not get today was their time limit. So as I told them, the Spirit is going to move them, and I wanted to move them up. I wanted to move them throughout, and then it's going to have to move them off in about 3.5 minutes. So get ready in the batter's box, and I want to welcome Reverend Tremaine Combs.
Let me be brief. Lift Every Voice and Sing is a powerful symbol of unity, hope, and resilience. It is often referred to as the Black national anthem. Its lyrics express a collective call for freedom and justice, making it a significant rallying cry that resonates across generations, especially in historical struggles for civil rights and equality. Written in 1899 by James Weldon Johnson during racial segregation, the poem was put to music by his brother, J. Rosamond Johnson. A chorus of 500 students sang the newly composed hymn to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Throughout history, Lift Every Voice and Sing has served as a rallying cry during the civil rights movement of the 1950s, sung at organizational meetings for the Montgomery bus boycott, and quoted by prominent figures like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. It has also made its way into popular culture. Made up of 3 stanzas, the opening stanza calls for everyone to raise their voices in song, celebrating freedom and letting their joy echo throughout the world. The second emphasizes the strength gained from past hardships and the optimism for a brighter future, urging continued progress toward achieving full equality. The third stanza, similar to the earlier land acknowledgement, acknowledges the difficult and painful history of oppression, but highlights the perseverance and determination of their ancestors to reach the land of freedom. So please rise, if you are able, to join in unity and power by singing the first 2 stanzas of Lift Every Voice and Sing, and the words will be displayed. Amen. All together. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. You may be seated.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Okoliko. I am a doctoral student at the University of Nebraska in Leadership Studies, and I am originally from Nigeria. One of my favorite titles is that I am a mom to two beautiful girls, and they are the inspiration for what I am going to read today. The book that I will be sharing a piece from this morning is Afternoon Weather. It's by the Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie, who wrote multiple books, including the one that I would read from called Americana. And the reason why this piece is important to me is because it was one of the pieces that I had to read to come to terms with my bias as an immigrant and a woman of color. Ifemelu did not like that she had to go to Trenton to braid her hair. It was unreasonable to expect that braiding salons in Princeton, the few black locals she had seen, were so light-skinned and lank hair. She could not imagine them wearing braids, and yet she waited at Princeton Junction at the train station on an afternoon ablaze with heat. She wondered why there was no place for her to braid her hair. The chocolate bar in her handbag had melted. A few other people were waiting on the platform, all of them white and lean, in short, flimsy clothes. The man standing closest to her was eating ice cream in a cone, and she had always found it a little irresponsible, the eating of ice cream by full-grown Americans, especially the eating of ice cream by even full-grown American men. He turned to her and said, "About time," when the train finally creaked in with the familiarity of strangers. The gray hair on the back of his hand was swept forward by a comical arrangement to disguise the bald spot that he was trying to hide. He had to be an academic, but not in the humanities, or maybe a self-conscious person, like maybe a science firm, chemistry. No. Before she could say anything, the peculiar American expression that the professor had was something that she was not familiar with. I am in America. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Delonte Johnson, Director of Security Engineering and Operations at Emeritus, and I'm here to read a small collage of passages from the last book written by Dr. Martin Luther King, Where Do We Go From Here? This book was written in 1967, reflects upon the civil rights movement, the persistence of racism, and the unrealistic views of the ongoing plight of African Americans in his vision for the future. Almost 60 years later, we have realized portions of Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream, but we continue to fight for full emancipation. Where do we go from here? When the Constitution was written, a strange formula to determine taxes and representation declared that the Negro was 60% of a person. Today, another curious formula seems to declare he is 50% of a person. Of the good things in life, he has approximately one-half those of whites. Of the bad, he has twice those of whites. When we turn to negative experiences in life, the Negro has a double share. After 348 years, racial injustice is still the Negro's burden and America's shame. Yet for his own inner health and outer functioning, the Negro is called to be as resourceful, as productive, and as responsible as those who have not known such oppression and exploitation. This is the Negro's dilemma. He who starts behind in a race must forever remain behind or run faster than the man in front. What a dilemma. It is a call to do the impossible. It is enough to cause the Negro to give up in despair. And yet, there are times when life demands the perpetual doing of the impossible. The life of our slave forebears is eternal testimony to the ability of man to achieve the impossible. So too we must embark upon this difficult, trying, and sometimes bewildering course. With a dynamic will, we must transform our minus into a plus and move on aggressively through the storms of injustice injustice and the jostling windows of daily handicaps toward the beaconing light of fulfillment. Our dilemma is serious and handicaps are real, but equally real is the power of creative will and the ability to give us the courage to go on in spite of. We must make full and constructive use of the freedoms we already possess. We must not wait until the day of full emancipation before we set out to make our individual and collective contributions to the life of our nation. Even though slavery and segregation were designed to make the Negro adjust patiently to mediocrity, we must work audaciously to aspire excellence. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sandra Washington. I'm a councilwoman here in Lincoln, and I am the proud parent of a recent LPS graduate. Nikki Giovanni was born in Knoxville, Tennessee, and grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. She graduated with a degree from Fisk University, and as a world-renowned poet, she published numerous collections of poetry, several works of nonfiction, children's literature, and made multiple recordings. Giovanni's work explores race, gender, and the African American family. Her poetry worked to uplift the Black experience in the arts. Nikki Giovanni died in December of '24. In honoring her life, Oprah Winfrey said, "I was raised on Nikki Giovanni's poems, speaking them out loud to myself, at school, or to anyone who would listen. She helped me to love myself and to love poetry." Two short works. Nikki Rosa. Childhood remembrances are always a drag if you're Black. You always remember things like living in Woodlawn with no inside toilet. And if you become famous or something, they never talk about how happy you were to have your mother all to yourself and how good the water felt when you got your bath from one of those big tubs that folks in Chicago barbecue in. And somehow when you talk about home, it never gets across how much you understood their feelings as the whole family attended meetings about Hollydale. And even though you remember, your biographers never understand your father's pain as he sells his stock and another dream goes. And though you're poor, it isn't poverty that concerns you. And though they fought a lot, it isn't your father's drinking that makes any difference, but only that everybody is together. And you and your sister have happy birthdays and very good Christmases. And I really hope no white person ever has cause to write about me because they never understand that Black love is Black wealth. And they'll probably talk about my childhood and never understand that all the while I was quite happy. And a very short work because today feels like winter. Winter poem. Once a snowflake fell on my brow, and I loved it so much, I'd kiss it. And it was happy, and it called its cousins and brothers, and a web of snow engulfed me, and then I reached to love them all, and I squeezed them, and they became a spring rain, and I stood perfectly still and was a flower.
Good afternoon. My name is Zainab Funa, and I am a junior at UNL. I am the founder and president of Black is Beautiful Nebraska, which is a local nonprofit here that supports Black students in Nebraska, uplifts representation here, and then we also provide annual scholarships to the Black youth here. Today, I chose to read to you a simple excerpt from a fictional novel, The Other Black Girl, by Zakiya Dalila Harris. Although fictional, the message behind it is of importance to understand and is an experience of many Black women in our society. Reading this small passage resonated with me because it captures the isolation that can come with being one of the only people of color in a professional setting. It's an important reminder to foster environments where people can be seen and heard while not being expected to educate in these environments, but having the support around them. This young author brings to light the experience as a Black woman in an all-white workspace. This book calls out class privilege, race, and gender. Around the narrative of this character, Nella, who is working in an all-white publishing office and experiences microaggression and being the only Black woman. Harris wrote this book after experiencing all of what her main character goes through in the novel. So yes, it's fictional, but it is also inspired by her real experiences. And what we are experiencing with changes in DEI, I think it's important to read this book as many people can understand this book through a Black woman's lens about having inclusivity within professional settings. Before sharing this, I think it's good that you understand the background of the excerpt. In Nella's publishing office, they decided to start having diversity town halls after an instance of police brutality had occurred. They wanted to be able to understand what was going on in their community and help to serve them. Nella was very excited about this happening in her office, as she had been waiting some time for there to be acknowledgement that there needed to be focus on diversity more. After the first mandatory meeting, they all became voluntary, and everyone else stopped showing up, even the HR. Nella had written a think piece that she wanted to share. After realizing no one was going to show up, she ripped it to shreds and stormed out of the room. Heat still brushed Nella's cheeks whenever she remembered this public display of weakness. Being the only Black girl in the room wasn't so hard a gig most of the time. She'd slowly befriended every other individual at Wagner who worked as an assistant in any capacity, and the other people of color who worked at the front desk and in the mailroom knew her by name. But it wasn't the same as having a work wife who really understood her. She craved the ability to walk across the hallway, vomit out all of her feelings about a racially insensitive fictional character, and return to her desk, good as new. Thank you.
The Belmont Community Scholars would like to tell you all a bedtime story that me and you could go to sleep to. But when we awake, we are steps to classroom and courtrooms. Scholars helping to see the success of this nation and grow.
Our story starts with James Bevel, a member of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or SCLC, who in 1963 came up with an idea, as did Dr. Leola Bullock in 1995, to include school-age children to lead steps and be storytellers through positive youth action to walk together. Good morning, good morning, good morning, scholars. My name is James Bevel, Direct Action and Nonviolent Education for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Hold on, Mr. James Bevel. Let me introduce myself to the crowd. I'm Dr. Leola Bullock, a member of Concerned Citizens for the Truth in Education, a group that has pointed out racial bias in textbooks, literature, and teaching methods in schools.
Scholars, most adults, felt that segregation, racism, inequities were permanent. That it was just that way, a permanent system. People's homes and churches had been bombed. People had been lynched and killed. And there are few processes by which you can get redress to your grievances. We have to be honest. Some of our adults have a condition that they are tired.
No one has the power to oppress you if you don't cooperate. If you say you're oppressed, you're also acknowledging that you're in league with the oppressor. Now it's your responsibility to break league with the oppressor. Young people, come forward and stand up and speak out.
Kobe Yamada, in a book illustrated by May Beeson, asks, what do you do with an idea, especially if the idea is different, daring, or just a little bit wild? Do you hide it? Do you walk away from it? You do what William Lucy did when 2 sanitation workers were killed by a malfunctioning garbage truck in Memphis, Tennessee, February 1986. The city's public work employees went on strike to demand safer working conditions and higher wages.
I knew I needed some glue to hold this together. I worked with a local pastor, Malcolm Blackburn, to create a slogan small enough to fit in a placard, but powerful enough to unite the city. We came up with a sign that simply said in 4 words, I am a man. I am a man.
Something started me, but it wasn't just me. It was them too. But it wasn't just a story. At Birmingham, Selma the South, Lincoln, Omaha, or just down the street in Wichita, Kansas. My story included that we organized a protest against this segregational policy. It's almost like it came from the pages of Spike Antonio Sweet's Giant Steps to Change the World. They'll tell us, you may be so unsteady that you fall down, but you have to pick yourself up and keep on stepping. Your might and courage will be the foundation that impacts us all.
But sometimes, this story is about you. Not only standing up, but the need to speak up like Kadar Nelson, sharing the page of his 2012 book, I Have a Dream. Like many dreams, it's hard to be patient and wait. To wake up for the real dream, shared in 1963, to become a reality.
To those who have said, be patient and wait, I, John Lewis, have long said that we cannot be patient. We do not want our freedom gradually, but we want our freedom now. We are tired. We are tired of seeing our people being beaten by policemen. We are tired of being thrown in jail over and over again. And then you holler, be patient? How long can we be patient? We want our freedom, and we want it now. We do not want to go to jail, but we will go to jail if this is the price we must pay for love, brotherhood, and true peace.
Sometimes stories and poems move us to walk together. Those like Amanda Gorman, who challenge us not to do it again, but to be the change that sings.
We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. A country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation because we know our actions and inertia will be the inheritance of our next generation. But sometimes, it is not the words alone, but being able to hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song, and not fearing change coming, but singing along.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday.
Songs encourage me to stand up and speak up.
Past books and those stories told to me are the reality of a much larger story. But in each version, the seeds of a revolution were sown. Now the time has come. Nearly 200 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence for this nation to fulfill its promise, and founded on the belief that all men, but wait, we're missing something. All men and women and non-binary, but just people, are created equal. And that the job I might want, being a president, is a black job.
Extra, extra.
Power at its best is love.
Extra, extra.
Power at its best is love.
Extra, extra.
Power at its best is love. One of the greatest poems of history is that the concepts of love and power have been contrasted as opposites, polar opposites, so that love is identified with the resignation of power and power with the denial of love.
You know what? We gotta get this thing right. What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic.
Standing up for justice can get lonely. Justice for me was lonely that day. For me, Elizabeth Eckford, a 14-year-old who was a part of the 9 black members to desegregate from Little Rock Central High School in 1957. My family didn't own a phone, so we didn't get the word that the effort was being delayed, that our group's first attempt to attend the school on September 4th, 1957 would be delayed because of protest and blockade by the Arkansas National Guard. I showed up, walked alone, bullied, hurled insults, and sought refuge at a mob and a familiar bus bench. It was lonely. It made me feel that everyone turned their backs and thought I was getting what I deserved. I found my way back to the bus bench, where a white local reporter, Benjamin Fine, and educator Grace Lohr made noises through their actions, guarding me from the mob.
Because justice. Who would have thought that justice can be slow? But the words, stories, and pictures of Preet Bharara's book, Justice Is, serves as a guide for young and some of you older folks, truth seekers. And I say to you this morning that if you've never found something so dear and so precious to you that you would die for it, then you aren't fit to live.
You died when you refused to stand up for the truth.
You died when you refused to stand up for justice. Justice is responsibility, kindness,
And showing care for others.
and love.
I
too am America.
How do I ever come behind that? Like, really, Pete, you had to put me next after that powerful performance. They were awesome. My name is Denise Williams, and I'm a Regional Client Relationship Manager with Emeritus, based out of Atlanta, New Jersey. Atlanta, Georgia, good Lord. Someone was talking about Princeton and Trenton, and I'm from New Jersey, so that resonated with me. But I'm gonna read a poem, author unknown, and it's called Roots of Greatness. We rise from roots deep in the ground, stories of struggle where strength is found. From chains to freedom, we paved the way with hope as bright as the light of day. In every step, in every fight, we stood for justice, we stood for right. From Harriet's courage, bold and true, to Martin's dreams that we pursue. Each name a spark, each voice a song, a legacy that has lived so long. Rosa sat down, but we still stand tall. We rise together, answering the call. Through every trial, through every tear, we built this world year after year. Our history rich, our spirits bright, we carry it forward into the light. So young ones, know the power you hold. and stories of courage, both quiet and bold. Black history, not just past, is now. We honor the past and will rise somehow. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shannon Mangrum, and I'm an attorney at Berry Law. I work in the Veterans Disability Benefits Department, and a member of Psi Chi Omega of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. The book I'm reading today is Lead from the Outside by Stacey Abrams, who was the first Black woman to be a gubernatorial candidate selected by a major party. She says in her chapter, Taking Power, for all of us, even me, we have to consistently remember that the game is stacked. But if we can unlock the cheat codes, we can play to win. We can take power, which is love. The lesson of taking power lies in how we do things, how we see our roles in the world we wish to create. Real leadership, true power, understands how to enter the world purposefully and knows what we're responsible for doing here. To take power is to use the best of what resides in us for sketching a vision for the future, written large or small. Power requires a conscious effort on our own part to move our own lives to where we want them to be, because we've got to move against what historically has been defined as the way we should live our lives or inhabit this space. Taking power does not mean that you always do something huge. Part of being a leader is recognizing that whatever your corner of the world, whatever small piece you happen to be able to touch, that power should make you move it a little bit. And it doesn't have to be about big life-altering news or headline-grabbing decisions. It is correcting yourself when you decline a chance to advance. Instead of slogging through a job you merely tolerate, it's taking a class about how to turn your hobby into a side hustle. History is littered with stories of naysayers who decry newcomers and excoriate innovators. Human nature often turns us away from what hasn't yet been tried, even if we come to regret it later. Remember this, however, in the darkest moments, when the work doesn't seem worth it and change seems just out of reach. Out of our willingness to push through comes a tremendous power. We use the fire of our passions and the angst of our opposition to push past the boundaries of what we expect of ourselves and what the world expects of us. We can harness this energy to lead from the outside and make real change. This is our power. We are entitled, so use it.
Good afternoon. I am Lafayette Helmstetter, and I am the African American Student Advocate for the district. First off, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Pete Ferguson, LPS, and Lincoln City Libraries for their part in this annual tradition. I'd also like to take a moment to thank some of the other trailblazing men and women of this school district that have supported not only me, but our scholars that look like me over the years too. A few of those people, and I want to start with Boss Lady. I don't know where she's at, but I always call her Boss Lady. Oh, there she is, Miss Brittany Volkovac, Hodges, Barb Miller, Marla Stiles, Dr. Van Price, Mr. Daniel Church, principal at Colored Middle School, Mr. Walter Powell, Sherilyn Bullock, William Bryant, Willie Banks, Ada Robinson, just to name a few. At various stages of my journey working with LPS, I have been blessed enough to see Black excellence in real time, daily, for decades now, and because of them, I too believe I can be, and am, somebody. So, I am going to read The Negro Mother by Langston Hughes. Excuse me. Oh, actually, I had a little sentence here. The responsibility to impact a life and the ability to inspire a child whose story may be similar to mine is a blessing that I give thanks for out loud often, and I don't take it lightly. So thank you for the ability to work for this district. There we go. Now here's a poem. The Negro Mother by Langston Hughes. Children, I come back today to tell you a story of a long, dark way that I had to climb, that I had to know, in order that the race might live and grow. Look at my face, dark as the night, yet shining like the sun with love's true light. I am the dark girl who crossed the Red Sea, carrying in my body the seed of the free. I am the woman who worked in the field, bringing the cotton and the corn to yield. I am the one who labored as a slave, beaten and mistreated for the work that I gave. Children sold away from me, my husband sold too. No safety, no love, no respect was I due. 300 years in the deepest South, but God put a song and a prayer in my mouth. God put a dream like steel in my soul. Now, through my children, I'm reaching the goal. Now, through my children, young and free, I realize the blessings deed to me. I couldn't read then. I couldn't write. I had nothing back there in the night. Sometimes the valley was filled with tears, but I kept on trudging through the lonely years. Sometimes the road was hot with the sun, but I had to keep on till my work was done. I had to keep on, no stopping for me. I was the seed of the coming free. I nursed a dream that nothing could smother, deep in my breast, the Negro mother. I had only hope then, but now through you, dark ones of today, my dreams must come true. All you dark children in the world out there, remember my sweat, my pain, my despair. Remember my years heavy with sorrow, and make of those years a torch for tomorrow. Make of my past a road to the light, out of the darkness, the ignorance, the night. Lift higher my banner out of the dust, stand like free men, supporting my trust. Believe in the night, let none push you back. Remember the whip and the slaver's track. Remember how the strong in the struggle and strife still bar you the way and deny you life. But march ever forward, breaking down bars. Look ever upward at the sun and the stars. Oh, my dark children, may my dreams and my prayers impel you forever up the great stairs, for I will be with you till no white brother dares keep down the children of the Negro mother. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Addison Knowles. I'm an 11th grade scholar at Southeast High School, and today I'm sharing for you my spoken word poem that I gave at the 30th Annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Youth Rally Planning Committee. Damon Hicks, a two-time award-winning author, father, and entrepreneur, once asked the question I'm going to ask of you all today. I want everybody in the room to raise their hand. Now, raise it as high as you possibly can. You can put them down now. Now, I want you to ask yourself this question. Why didn't I raise it as high as I possibly could the first time? When the time comes for change, we don't fully extend out our hand to help. We doubt our abilities and restrict the endless possibilities. We must learn that quiet isn't always peace, that the norms and motions of just isn't always justice, that the unrealistic laws and regulations are just forms of useless intimidation. Evoked and angered, we become distant strangers, unaware that the public and the planet all share the same name. Equality, not meaning we are built the exact same, meaning we all have the same aim. You think our message is gonna die soon? No, we'll sing like Mahalia Jackson, a lovely tune to the sound of freedom, and rejoice at the mountaintop. Because we will get to the mountaintop, and our trials and tribulations will just be a part of the backdrop. In life, we are often faced at a crossroads where our actions can shape our future by creating a world where equality, justice, and love are not just ideals, but reality. Where every act of civility builds a bridge connecting our morals and values. Like a ripple effect, we can transform our lives to form a society that we choose. We can say that as long as we have humanity, we have an eternity of hope. This mission is not too hard to win. Our movement is too large to lose. Together as one, we won't be the generation that tries. Together, we will be the generation that triumphs. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Chris Hefner. I'm the Director of Library Services for Lincoln Public Schools. I want to thank all of you for being part of this celebration today. To every reader, to our organizers, to our participants, really you've made this day truly a special day for us. Every year at the African American Read-In, we are reminded of the immense power of stories. Stories connect us across generations, across cultures, across time. They have the ability to inspire and challenge and transform us. As we conclude, I encourage each of us to seek out stories that amplify voices, illuminate truths, and spark conversations about justice, equity, and hope. These stories not only enrich our understanding, but also empower us to shape a more inclusive and compassionate world. School and public librarians stand at the heart of this work, ensuring that every child can discover a story that resonates with their experiences and introduces them to the rich experiences of others. Whether through the LPS Mosaic Library Collection, which champions multicultural literature, or initiatives like the Seat Beside You, we remain committed to celebrating the diverse voices and stories that define our community. Thank you for celebrating with us today, for uplifting the power of stories, and for honoring the dreams of those who came before us. Together, we can build a stronger future, one story at a time.
I need my glasses. Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Weber. I'm director at Lincoln City Libraries, and this has been inspiring, and it is every year, and I'm just honored to be here representing the libraries. And on behalf of the public libraries, I'd like to thank Pete Ferguson, Lincoln Public Schools, all of the readers today, and the Belmont Scholars for helping to coordinate this year's event. Truly tremendous. Thank you for creating a powerful way to honor and remind, to celebrate, and to share with our community the importance of the immensely abundant contributions of African American authors, illustrators, poets, thinkers, activists, and young people. At our library locations this month, we have special displays on Black history and several story times with help from the LPS Scholar Equity Cadre. Thank you. Libraries are symbolic, foundational institutions and cornerstones of democracy that every single day demonstrate their invaluable role within a community. Doesn't matter who you are or what your story is, all are welcome to freely enter the doors, access information and knowledge, use our meeting spaces and technology, or just wander across the aisles and discover new books, new ideas, and learn. At Lincoln City Libraries, it's our responsibility and our delight to build a collection of books reflective of everyone and to make that collection available freely for you, our families, our neighbors, for new Americans, for those without a home, for those who are seeking answers or help or a smile or just a good book. It's our joy to provide that shared free space where people can enter in pursuit of a quiet corner or be inspired to learn. I've been so inspired today, and I don't have a reading, but I want to share something. I'm a sports fan. I love baseball, and I love to be inspired. I'm originally from Michigan. Of course, one of my heroes that I've always followed and admired is Derek Jeter. Derek was born and raised in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and unfortunately was drafted by the Yankees. And he played his whole career for them, but we still like him. And I'm not a Yankees fan, but I'm a Derek Jeter fan. And why? Well, because he's a pretty good baseball player and a Hall of Famer, but really because he's a great human being. And he's made a big difference with youth and with kids, with families, with people in Michigan, but all across the country. He's talented, yet full of humility, and relatively quiet, but full of wisdom. I recently read his biography, Captain, and a couple of things stood out. I could pull out a lot, but a couple of things stood out that I pulled out from that book. He says, surround yourself with good people who are going to be honest with you and look out for your best interests. And two, quote, people always say to me, your image is this, your image is that. Well, your image isn't your character. Character is what you are as a person. So on behalf of the libraries, thanks for this gathering and thanks for this celebration. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is, that was fun. My name is Benny Shobe. I'm a member of your Lincoln City Council, and it's my honor to bat cleanup, to spend on Pete's analogy about baseball and being on deck. I also would like to invite Dr. Van Price and the boss lady to come join me up here, as well as all the other speakers that spoke today. I think you remember your instructions originally. We're prepare for the group photo. While they join us up here, I have the honor of subbing in for the mayor today, and I get to read a proclamation written from her office celebrating this day. You guys are familiar with proclamations. There's several factual statements that lead up to a proclamation that something is true and honest. Those are all whereas statements, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whereas statements that I'm going to read. I'm probably going to mess this up a little bit, but here we go. Oh, and like Ryan, let's get the glasses so this looks a little better. Are we ready? Is everyone? Look at this good-looking group. I'm surrounded by greatness. Here we go. City of Lincoln, proclamation, office of the mayor. Whereas the National African American Read-In was established in 1990 by the Black Caucus and the National Council of Teachers of English to make literacy a significant part of Black History Month. And whereas, since its inception, more than 6 million people from around the world have participated in the African American Read-In events. And whereas, the City of Lincoln is proud to contribute to the African American Read-In through a long-standing annual collaboration between Lincoln City Libraries and Lincoln Public Schools to encourage our community members to come together to read and celebrate the works of African American authors. And whereas, in Lincoln, the African American Read-In is led by the Lincoln City Library staff, the Lincoln Public Schools Coordinator of Culture, Inclusion, and Scholar Development, and the Lincoln Public Schools Student Advocate for African American Community, and serves as a shining example of how Lincoln City Libraries and Lincoln Public Schools collaborate to enrich educational experiences for students and our broader community. And whereas this year's event will feature a diverse gathering of students and adult readers and leaders who will present a rich history and contributions African Americans have made to literature and fine arts, as well as their current influence on our cultural landscape. And whereas, by providing to diverse voices and viewpoints, the Read-In helps advance the City of Lincoln's commitment to creating a culture of equity, inclusion, and belonging, which all residents, all means all residents experience equality, opportunities to reach their full human potential. Now, therefore, I, Benny Shobe, Lincoln City Council, on behalf of Lyrian Gaylord Baird, Mayor of the City of Lincoln, Nebraska, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 as African American Read-In Day. Here in Lincoln, to elevate awareness of the event, to encourage community participation, and to celebrate the literacy and artistic achievements of African Americans during Black History Month and throughout the year. And this proclamation is signed by the mayor of our fair city. And that concludes my portion. Mr. Ferguson, would you help me wrap this up, please? Did I do okay?
I don't get to give days unless you're gonna go ahead and elevate me. Dr. Price, boss lady? Oh, okay, I thought I was gonna make a public announcement. Oh, Dr. Skritta's back there. Can I give a day? Can I give the office a day? No, that's not gonna work. Okay, anyways, we'll move on. Again, I do want to thank everybody for coming today. Some thank yous again to the Lincoln City Libraries, the City of Lincoln. I also want to thank the Communications Department here, but also this City TV, Bo Wolf, Mindy Burbach, Brian, David, Joshua. There's so many others I want to thank. Also want to thank Dr. Price again and Miss Brittany. Both of them have been extremely supportive. Also, if you recognize the food, Sweet Things by Marcy was made possible by their contributions. Sorry, Dr. Price. And then also, Sweet Things by Marcy is made available by the contributions of the district, but also other things that we have. So we have one final thing. We were given multiple books and items from an organization, and so we want to give this to the person that came the farthest today to this event. I think I know who that might be. But anybody else fly in, travel in? All right, I think. All right. And then last thing, there are books on the table, so this is what happens. The person that is the youngest at the table gets the book. So the person, to identify who the person is the youngest at the table, please identify the book. Hold on. After everybody's got that identified, now you have to gift it to the most seasoned person at the table.